What a week. It's been a short week, but there's been no shortage of discourse dodgers this week, which is why we'll launch into Holier Than Thou. This is the weekly part of the show where we discuss those in influential or publicly accountable positions that have abdicated their responsibilities to engage with their customers, stakeholders, ratepayers, whatever it may be. Leading off this week is actually a last-minute addition to Holier Than Thou and a remarkable example of the sort of spray and walk away approach to dialogue that too many of our PR people engage in. The government just yesterday announced the restoration of a policy allowing local councils to hold referendums on the establishment of Māori wards after the previous Labour government removed the ability to hold such referendums. In response, Local Government New Zealand released a furious statement calling out the government for what they refer to as government overreach. What? So, removing the ability for ratepayers to vote on this issue is hunky-dory. The PR team at LGNZ were nowhere to be seen when that happened. They were having the day off. But restoring the right for ratepayers to vote at a referendum on this issue is government overreach. I can scarcely believe the words as they leave my face right now. In any case, you'd think that such a no-nonsense, straight-up-and-down statement in opposition of the central government would warrant a no-nonsense, straight-up-and-down interview from the person that statement was attributed to, that being Sam Broughton, the president at LGNZ. But no. As I said, they prefer the spray and walk away approach to public discourse, which is to make an outlandish statement about something and then ignore everyone who wants to talk to them about it, even when it affects you as a ratepayer and as a resident of a local government region, which they claim to represent. So next this week, I also want to give a shout out to Mental Health Minister Matt Ducey, who has retreated deep into the bowels of the beehive ever since the NHS decision on puberty blockers came out. We've been trying to get Ducey on the show to find out what the government's stance is on puberty blockers and the mental health implications for young people that go along with them. We haven't had a peep out of him or his media people this whole time. The line out of his office is he's waiting for a brief. Well, that's fine, but as we always say, if you're not capable or willing to have a straight up and down conversation about an issue for which you have ministerial responsibility, it doesn't have to be briefed, just be what you think about it. We'll be upfront about that on the show. There's something weird going on there, though, and historically this has been an issue that the National Party have aggressively avoided both on the campaign trail and in government. When we first put this issue to Ducey, he tried to pawn it off to the Ministry of Health, which they weren't having a bar of because they immediately passed the buck back to him. And he was obviously aware of that because then he switched to the line, well, the minister hasn't been briefed yet. So I feel a sense of duty to inform anyone who cares about this issue that the government's still being weak and afraid on the issue of gender and gender-altering measures as of the airing of this episode. Lastly, the school strike for climate. This is the nationwide or supposedly nationwide event encouraging school children to ditch the classroom and go out protesting the government. Now, the name would suggest it is a climate protest. But the movement's social media accounts tell another story. One quick scan of the Instagram account, for example, and you'll be inundated with more rainbows, Palestinian flags, blue hair, and bicycles than you would have thought possible in one place. It's like an advert for a circus run by Elton John. So what is the actual issue that these students are wagging school to advocate for? Their latest Instagram post says among the issues are freedom for Palestine, stop messing with the Treaty of Waitangi, in the fast track bill, something about LGBTQ, and a host of other whinges straight out of the woke Bible. So it's more like a recruitment gathering for the Green Party or a networking event for woke teenagers. It would be unjournalistic of me, though, to make such assertions without giving the students a right of reply, so I asked them on to explain what exactly it was that they're protesting, other than the legitimate outcome of a democratic process known as a general election, but they declined. In fact, they've declined several times over the past few weeks as we've tried to get to the bottom of what on earth they're on about. And the time before this, when I asked them on, their organizer responded to my media inquiry with my media inquiry about the contents of their protest demands. They replied to that with womp womp. Just that phrase, womp womp. So clearly they take this issue and themselves remarkably seriously, and we should definitely lower the voting age to whatever the average mean age of anyone who turns up to that Moanfest is. Now, it's approaching that was Holier Than Thou, by the way. We'll have the theme music to end that off. Thank you, Josh. Beautiful.